if you can't tell it's AI, is that ethical? Let's explore those ethics. AI-powered education is next. Hi, I am Sandra Weiser-Matthews, and I am an AI enthusiast and a person that loves to play around with AI and discover all kinds of aspects of it. And I teach in an urban area. In the past, I worked with learners in secondary school and also in concurrent courses, kind of crossing the fields in both directions. But now I teach teachers getting their master's in education. And it's a super exciting time. They're out there getting their license and just trying to discover all kinds of things. And one of the things that we try to discover is AI. And I am here with
I'm Casey Wacker. I'm a teacher in a rural community, and I am lucky enough to get to work with students in 9th through 12th grade, primarily in public speaking courses, but also in the English world. I actually get to teach a college concurrent enrollment courses as well, and I love to explore AI. Part of my role as an educator, I think, is to stay current with the technologies of today, and AI isn't really new, but there's definitely new conversations being had about it, and I love being a part of that. And I know that the conversation is ever going, and it exists in a lot of different platforms. And Sandra, I know you came across an article recently in a newspaper that really just kind of, I don't know. I know when you shared it with me, I was thinking to myself, like, what? I can't tell. I don't know. I can't tell. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so just to give the source, it does come from the New York Times, and it was just, the title is this face made by AI or is it real? And they had, I don't know, 7 or 8 different faces, and you had to select like which one you thought was AI generated and which one was real. And I only got one right. Did you get any right when you?
I don't know. Honestly, yeah. I just went and I took out a magnifying glass. I had a little one next to me, and I'm like, okay, really though? Because, we hear all of those things initially when imaging came out for AI. It's like, oh, they have 5 fingers and, or 5 fingers. Of course they have 5 fingers. They have 6 fingers. They have like all this extra stuff. And you can really tell if you look at the details. And so I'm like, I'm going to look at those details. Nothing.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. And it really, makes you think. And again, they also put like the percentage of people that got it correct, and so few people got it correct.
So low.
And so again, the ethics behind that, sure, it's super cool technology, and there are definitely, cool things you can do with it, but the ethics of it, and if we don't, again, like we often talk here, should we be transparent and share this information with our learners, or should we gonna hide it, or what should we do with it? And I believe if you don't share this with learners, they will not know it's out there. It's gonna like that kind of like fake news, or if you don't show them and have them find multiple sources, then you just can't trust it.
Well, and that's like you said, you talk about fake news. We went through that push, 6 or maybe more years ago when we felt like that term fake news was really becoming more and more apparent. It's a good comparison to make because a lot of people in education felt like they didn't want to talk about fake news because they were concerned with even just providing the information about where these websites exist and which platforms are telling the truth, which not like that they were somehow setting students up for consuming more and more fake news, which algorithms would probably suggest that is what's happening. But also we want them to be able to discern what is real from what is a fake. And that's really what learning about AI can be in this particular circumstance, right? Do you agree?
And I think, I agree. And I think that part of the problem is that teachers don't know what they really believe either sometimes. Like they don't know what is, and that takes a lot of critical reflection to say, this is what I believe about this new technology that we are facing. It is a similar technology of the past. What did I do in the past? It took me a while to figure it out, but I had a policy. I shared it with my learners. We worked on it together. And this is no different, but we get like, we don't know what our policy should be. And leadership doesn't always know what it should be. There are very few states in the United States, when you look at their documents, that are actually saying that these are the guidelines in AI for our state. Very few. We have a few here, but there are very few that are doing that. So if that leadership, and if we're not critically reflecting, then what is our policy when we go in, and do we share information with our learners or not? So we've just been finding more and more that I believe the pattern seems to be is like making sure you know what you believe, but putting it in your syllabus.
Yes, absolutely. We talked about that early on, even at the beginning of the school year when I was doing workshops with teachers. And, towards the end of last year in March, when this was really becoming more and more obvious that there were more tools available, right? It's not that the technology is necessarily new. It's just our access to it became so much easier, simpler. And so, yeah, we definitely wanted to put in some sort of writing. But I felt like even in this fall, when we were writing our syllabus statements, it was very vague. It was like, AI, the large language models, can be used, but under certain circumstances. And it just seemed wishy-washy a lot of the times because we didn't know really what we wanted. And also, what could we say no to? What could we block? What should we block? So many questions that I feel like now this year we've had some time to work through it, and even asking, AI itself for some sort of guidance, because they've now been working through hearing a lot of these questions, and sometimes it's a good way to ask it. In fact, I asked ChatGPT a question today about the ethics of AI and whether or not people who consume it. So like maybe that's in a professional setting, or it's in a classroom setting or somewhere else where we're reading, we're seeing like those pictures in the newspaper, we're seeing these things and we can't tell. Like, is there an ethical line there, and where does it get crossed, and how do we come back from that? And it said, honestly, the things that you and I have been talking about for months, it's what is the purpose? What is the intent of the creator? What are they really hoping to achieve? What is the impact of that image, that message? Like, what do we get out of that? And then lastly is, what are the consequences? And that is huge. I don't know that I have asked my students yet in the classroom about it that way. Like, what are the consequences if we can't tell? And not saying like consequences like you're going to get in trouble for using AI. What are the consequences to the people who consume it? What will they now do with this information that they believe to be real and factual? Does it alter their life somehow?
And can it still be real and factual as long as it's been cited that AI generated it? So I was just taking a look at some of the syllabi that are across the country. And like a theater course said, all work submitted in this course must be your own. And any contribution from anything or anyone must be given attribution. You must be able to share that. Okay. Then there's another one across the country. Any text generating software, ChatGPT, any of them is not permitted and is considered plagiarism. So you got those extremes. And another one says, syllabus says you may use AI programs, but you must give credit to all the work that you use. You must cite that you have used it. So that clarification is pretty simple in your head in a way. Mm-hmm. You can use it, but you need to cite it. And I'm not sure if we can build that culture. It will be just normal. Just like you don't use an article, you don't use a journal unless you cite it. You give credit to who credit is supposed to. But again, AI is not a human.
Mm-hmm. We've had that conversation before too. And about, without it being a human, is there a right that it holds to be cited? Right? Does it have that sort of copyright expectation? Right. It's a little bit different. And I think that's worthy of conversation too. That definitely plays that line of ethics and morals, of like, Some people are like, oh, these machines are going to take over the world, and they're frightened of that concept. Well, these are great conversations for our students to be having in our classrooms with us, because we're also wondering and questioning, what's right and what's,
and even whether it's the learner or it's us that are generating that material, don't we also want to be transparent in the fact that, like we have said, what we are doing is hybrid. We have used our own mind, our own words, our own ideas, and we've also used an AI to help. It is a hybrid, and I just think we've got to get used to just saying that, plain and simple. That's what it is, and I will give credit. But to cover that credit up and not share, so just like those pictures at the beginning of the show we talked about, not telling us that those are not real human beings, that those were generated by AI and that person does not exist, I don't think is ethical. You can see it's creative and cool, but it is, but you got to tell us, don't you?
But under what circumstances are we seeing those images? Like I said, what's that impact of that? Like, am I supposed to believe this story about this person, and that is going to affect the decisions I make, what I buy, what I support, what I know and understand about the human condition and our existence? Like, if I am duped into that, right? That has major consequences in my life. Now I start to doubt other things that I shouldn't be doubting. And I think that that's an important conversation to have, and our students can come to that same conclusion as well when we talk about, hey, here's my policy in the classroom. Here's my reason for that policy. And now where's your conversation going to start and end? What do you think?
Yeah. And again, no better place than right here, AI-powered education, to discuss those ethics and to really dig into them. So thank you.
Thank you.